Hello, MavMind Collective, and welcome to another episode of the HypnoSales Show. Today, we're going to be learning how to negotiate with a sales rep. Now, I know you probably think this title is kind of funny, how to negotiate with a sales rep, because aren't the sales reps supposed to be negotiating with the prospect? Well, yes, that's what they're doing. In fact, they should be negotiating the whole way through with the prospect or the client or the customer. That's their job. They're really good at negotiating. But all the rest of us that are supporting the sales reps, those of us that are working with a sales rep, have to learn to negotiate with them because they're negotiating with you too. They're negotiating with all of us all the time. And they're really good at it. So if you're going to work with a sales rep, you need to get good at negotiating with them as well. That's why I didn't share this detail on the previous one where I talk about how to work with a sales rep, because I want to go into some of this detail here, because negotiating is a very specific skill. And if you're not used to it, let's say you're in a pre-sales role or a professional services role or a customer success role, for example, or even a marketing role, and you're asked to work with a sales rep with a client or customer, you have to understand that they're the boss. You're going to do whatever they say, whatever they ask. You're going to help them win the deal. That's your job in supporting them, and they are the boss. They're the ones that are on the line. Their job is on the line if they're not successful. They're sticking their neck out farther than yours. And the risk is it's riskier for them than it is for you. You're just supporting them, but they got to win the deal. They have to be successful. So you have to realize that, you may have to negotiate with them with something that you're not quite comfortable doing, or you might not feel it's as strategic as it could be. For example, if they're more tactical and they're not being as strategic, or they want to jump the gun and get to another part of this process when really there's a step in between that as a supporting role, that we need to do first. You're going to need to negotiate with them to make sure you follow the process in the right way. And most reps I've worked with are typically open-minded and are willing to negotiate with you if you are brave enough, bold enough to enter into a negotiation with them. They'll respect it. They respect it if you bring some value in what you're negotiating for, and they typically will listen to you and be open-minded to work with you to accomplish in the way that they want, as well as the way that you feel comfortable doing it as well. So that's why I wanted to present this, to talk about the way, if you've never negotiated with a rep or with anyone, if you're not really used to negotiating, maybe you're new to pre-sales or post-sales or any of these other supporting roles, it's good to understand at least the basics of how to negotiate, but specifically with a sales rep, because in that case, you want to make sure that you're able to kind of work with them and compromise, and that's basically why I've written these 4 things I have on this whiteboard here. We're going to go through them really quickly, okay? So if you're on the podcast, the first thing I've written is offer your idea first. Offer your idea first. And what that means is, if you need to negotiate with something, you need to try to change their mind about the tactic that they're having you work on, or the strategy even of where the approach they're taking, or because they're so tactical, they don't really have a strategy, and you need to offer a strategy to help them move through the deal maybe faster, because maybe what they're proposing to have you help them with is going to delay the process, and you might know better. Like, you might know, hey, we could shorten this if we do this other process first, and we could skip that one, or we could make it go faster and accelerate it. They're going to thank you for it at the end, but in the middle of the deal, in the middle of the opportunity, in the process, they may not really see it. They may not see that that's what they need to do. So you might need to negotiate with them on that and for that idea. So you need to present that idea and offer it first, and make sure that they know what you're proposing to do. That may not be aligned and congruent with what they are wanting you to do for them in the opportunity. So you might want to present your idea first. And of course, if they're open to it, great. Then everything's set. You just agree and you compromise and you go make it happen. But if they're not sure about it, or they don't want to do it because they're so caught up in their own strategy, their own tactic, that they don't really see it yet, the benefit of what you're proposing to do, then you need to let them have that reaction. Let them just come back and say, oh, no, I don't want to do it like that. And then you just have to say, no, but I think we should. I think we should do that first, and here's why, and give them a reason. And if they still go, I don't want to do that, then you have to respond with what I've written here. Well, I'm not comfortable with the way you want to do it. I'm not comfortable with going that direction and doing that thing for you. I'm not comfortable with it. And you say it just like that. And you use this is like the secret thing I've shared at previous videos, right? The whole idea of making the rep be responsible for your comfort. Make sure they know that you're not comfortable. Don't say you don't like it, because that's a judgment. Anyone can judge whether they like or don't like something. But if you say I'm not comfortable, you're talking from your subconscious. Your subconscious is like, I'm not comfortable. And you don't really even have to provide a reason for that. You just say, I'm not comfortable with doing it that way. And you let them react. You let them think about that. And then typically when I've done it, like when I've negotiated using this sequence, this negotiation sequence, typically they'll respond with something like, well, I'm not comfortable the way you're offering your idea. I'm not comfortable with that either. And they'll try to put it back on you that you're responsible for them being uncomfortable by offering your idea the way you want to do it. And then you just say, well, I'm not comfortable with that. It sounds like you're not comfortable with my idea. Well, let me just offer this. And then you do number 3 here. You say, I could be comfortable if you did X. Like, in other words, I could feel more comfortable if you were able to do a little bit and give in a little bit here and kind of compromise with me and do this. But if you don't, I'm not comfortable. But I could be if you did. And you give in a little bit and offer to do something. Maybe they're asking you to do it on a short timeline and you're like, I'm not comfortable doing it in that short. That doesn't make any sense to do it that short. I need more time. I'm not comfortable doing it in that short period of time. And they're like, well, I need you to get this done. So when can you get it done? You say, well, I could be comfortable if I did it, if you gave me a couple extra days or whatever. And you offer something that's a compromise. And then the fourth one I've written here, the fourth part is you say, okay, well, let's compromise on this. Let's just compromise on this. Make sure we're both feeling comfortable with what the approach is going to be. We're both feeling comfortable. Now, one thing to point out about this sequence, it doesn't work unless you go first. That's why I have number 1, offer your idea first. If they offer their idea first, then they get to go through the sequence and they get to hold you accountable for their discomfort until you agree with them. So they're going to, if they already know this, they're going to start with their idea first in order to have, because whoever starts the whole negotiation sequence has the right to bring everyone back to the compromise. And then you get to say, well, let's compromise, and here's how I want to compromise. Here's what and then you can dictate what that compromise, what that negotiation, those terms are going to be based on what you do for them or you don't do for them at this particular time. So again, I can't emphasize this enough. You have to go first, and then you have to say, I'm not comfortable. And then whatever they respond, let them respond and say, okay, that's fine. It seems like we're kind of stuck. So, and then you be the first to kind of give in. Well, I could be comfortable if, but I need you to do this, or you need to give me this time, or I want to take this approach, but not the thing that I offered. But so you always want to offer, obviously, the ideal thing that's for you, knowing that on step 3, you're going to compromise by saying, well, I could feel comfortable if you did this, but I'll be willing to not do that other part, and I'll work with you. And then the fourth one, let's compromise. Here's where I think we can compromise here. I think you can do this and I can do that, and we can get to a conclusion and an agreement on this approach. Okay, so that's the sequence. I've been teaching this sequence, by the way, to a lot of people over the years in customer-facing roles that have never negotiated with reps. So I'm hoping that this is an easy, boiled-down model you can use. There's more to it, but this is the most basic version of it, and I think it's something you can start using today with any reps you're working with as you negotiate with them when you need to. But just always remember, they're the boss. They're the one that gets what they need to close that business and win that deal. And you have a right, though, to be comfortable doing that. And that's why this works. Thank you for watching. I know you find value in these videos now, didn't you? And if you, like me, are in a customer-facing role, I'm wondering if you want to watch another video now designed to help you get better at what you do every day. Or not. You don't have to watch another video if you don't want to.